Hey, we're live. All right. I have with me today a special, beautiful, amazing, wonderful guest who somehow managed to get me out to Phoenix, Arizona. I came running of my own accord for sure. After visiting her in February, I was like, it seems like a good idea to just move to Phoenix and forgetting there was a whole summer situation. This is Maya Nara, ladies and gentlemen. She is the CEO, president, queen of my heart, but also New Aria. And we're going to talk today about burnout. She is an expert when it comes to this. And she is, well, I got things happening. Let me take my things out of my things.
I've hit it myself.
Okay. Yeah. And so if you happen to pop on here, please, put in the comments, let me know you're here, and, please let us know who you are. And if you've had any experience with burnout too, I'd like to hear about your experience as well. So Maya, welcome.
Thanks, Kyra. So good to be here. My longest friend ever.
So true. I was thinking of so many different ways to introduce you. My soul, my heart. When I think of Maya, I think of one sentence. Well, I think of a lot of things, good things. And like I said, if you're joining us, please write in the comments, say hi to me and Maya. Is how's your heart?
Mm-hmm.
How's your heart? Because Maya doesn't leave a conversation without understanding where you are emotionally. She often starts the conversation in the same way. What do you need? How's your heart? And I just want you to know, Maya, that means so much to me, and I know all the people whose lives you touch. So
it's amazing. I don't think I realized that. I didn't realize that until you pointed it out one day. I was like, oh, I didn't realize.
I do that. I make a conscious effort to connect and love people. Huh.
Or until I was dating men in my life who, like, there wasn't a connection there, and I would ask him, how's your heart? He'd look at me like, what the?
What are you talking about? My heart? Oh, it's fine. It's beating my chest. Stop making me have feelings. Speaking of feelings, let's talk about burnout, because I think that is, it's the scourge of the Western world.
Yeah.
We don't realize it. Sometimes we don't realize it until it's too late. And we're like, oh, wow, I am drowning and I don't know how to get out of it. And I don't know who to talk to about it and that kind of thing. And so tell us your take on it. Start us off.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I suppose my life in a nutshell, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and grew up in an ethnic household, so food was love. And at one point in my life, it was always about health. I'm always working in the health industry, and I'm a dietitian by trade. And so I became a registered dietitian to learn how to feed my body and lose weight in a healthy way at one point in my life. And I think as a fellow business owner, Kyra, and then as even some of you that may be watching, us business owners, we, especially if we're the Myers-Briggs type indicator NF business owners, we can lead with our heart instead, and combine that with a visionary type, and you meet burnout pretty often. And so it was in my earlier years, I didn't know burnout. I didn't understand what it was. This was probably 8 years ago now, and the small voice inside of my head, which was very, very loud at that point, it wasn't burnout. Rather, it was, you're failing, you're not doing enough. Why are you sitting on the couch when you have emails to finish? Nothing I could ever do in that day was enough. And I was met with just exhaustion. It started with the mental exhaustion, and I'm really, really good at just hustling and getting it done, because that's what they teach you. They teach you to hustle. They teach you to grind. And I thought that was the way, because I was just learning at that point in my life to pave my own path instead of, this is what I want to do. So this is how these people have done it. So let's do it this way. So just really listening to myself, and fell into emotional, mental burnout, exhaustion, physical exhaustion. And the first 2 times that it happened, I really plowed my way through, and my body put on weight. My blood sugar went up. I went on medications for depression, and anxiety was all over the place. And I gave myself grace and really learned in that moment how to do that. And so fast forward, I'm just kind of speaking off the cuff, I suppose, but I had hit it a 3rd time and was met with another symptom that they classify burnout as. You have the exhaustion, the physical exhaustion, the mental, emotional exhaustion, but also a cynicism, I'm regretting what I'm doing. I don't want to be doing this anymore. Certainly it was the reasons why have revealed, and I've been understood since then. But I guess that's how they define burnout, as exhaustion in many forms, and a sense of cynicism, and often depression and withdrawal. Like stress is that immediate. You might have that burst of energy, that anxiety. You've got the energy to be able to, like you're being chased by a bear. You've got that initial punch to be able to go and do that, but you can't keep the pedal down. You can't floor it forever. You're going to have to let off. And when you let off, that's that burnout, when you just kind of fizzle out and you lose the interest. And sometimes you just become really frustrated about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so, that is exactly how I felt when I closed the hypnosis clinic. I transitioned out of it, but it was so severe. It was almost like I didn't realize how severe it was until I really pulled myself completely out of it. And then I was like, oh, this is really painful. It's kind of like, I know that what you talk about and what I've heard other people say is that when we don't know how bad we feel until we start feeling good. And I was like, whoa, I've got some work to do around this. And it's almost it was almost to a level of PTSD, because it was when I came out of it, I was like, I'm never going back. I'm never doing that again. So kind of, I feel so bad because I can't help people anymore, but I gotta survive. And so it's taken years to get to the place where I'm like, okay, I can start coaching people, because I took a different perspective, different mindset around it to say, wait a minute, I need strong boundaries. I need things that will help me to qualify what I give my time to, where I put my time, where I put my energy, that kind of thing. One of my coaches said recently, because I was like, oh, I don't know about really allowing energy to flow through me. Like that's kind of feels scary. I don't know. And she was like, well, hold on a second, let the energy flow and you decide where you want to flow it to. You can flow it to Maya, you can flow it to your husband, you can flow it to yourself, you can flow that anywhere. Just decide, on that. You don't have to just give everything to your work, to your business, to your clients, to you, and then you have nothing left to give to other people. So it's kind of a mindset shift of, hold on, there's an infinite flow. Where am I stopping it? Where am I screwing this thing up?
Yeah.
And where would I like it to be different? How would I like it to be different?
Yeah. If you really, I think you're going into the nature of the why of burnout. And in the beginning stages, early on, the first 2 times, I didn't know of burnout. Like maybe I've heard of it, but my mind had me convinced that that I wasn't strong enough and that I was a failure. And so if we cut absolutely straight to the chase, my burnout has always been a product of my actions, emotions, and thoughts being in direct alignment with a faulty sense of morality. It was always as if there was a burden, and you could call this burden ego, right? So this burden of ego, it's just this burden, like climb harder, go more, do faster. It was all to mitigate a sense of like, you're not good enough, and the world can't find that out, and you're actually a failure. So you've got to climb harder, do faster, and work harder than everybody else. And I never won, never, ever, ever won. Like, you could say that I actually did fail in the first iterations of my projects, not because I'm a failure, but because I was choosing to serve the faulty sense of morality.
That's so huge. Yeah. I chose to serve the faulty sense of morality because my worth is not based on my innate nature of awesomeness. My worth is based on whatever is out here. I'm serving the faulty sense of morality. Yeah. I think I'm going to retitle this because that's huge.
I mean, that goes back to the old adage of like, you can't serve two masters. And it's when that revelation, it literally, I get goosebumps, and like, I'm kind of speechless in a way, because in that moment, that sheer moment, and there's these revelations when you choose to, like, slowing down is hard as you know what. So yes. Because when you sit down, I heard that faulty sense of morality, like, what are you doing? So, and I didn't want to hear that voice. So I was just kept running and running and running. And in that moment when I understood, like, it wasn't an understanding, it wasn't knowledge, it was a full realization. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I did. I was failing, but you know what? I'm okay with that, because I was choosing to serve this faulty sense of morality called my ego with a sense of lies that I believed is my truth. And I'm going to stop failing and stop serving this and serve the causes of which I choose, that my heart wants. And I can do that. I've already done that, and I'm very successful in that. And it just blew the lie of worth and failure out of the water. And you can, it's in a way, there's remnants now that are very habitual. Like, oh, duh, you're not serving that one anymore. You can just put that down. And it's I'm speaking where there is no words, but I know you guys can feel it. Is there's like it's a different feeling based upon what the intention is that you're moving from. And it's when it's just knowledge, like if you're listening to this right now and you're like, whoa, but if it's still just knowledge, it's not fully integrated, you're going to want, it's like a habit that's going to pull you back and pull you back and pull you back, because it's going to feel real, because the lie is still a truth. Until the lie is seen as a lie, then that's when that realization happens. But it's all of this is forward advancement, like just listening to this and just understanding it and recognizing it. But that was pretty big for me.
A lie is the truth until you recognize the lie is a lie. It's so challenging. Like that, the failure piece, I think our authors come across a lot as, either the imposter syndrome or I'm going to fail at this, or I'm going to succeed at this. And then, oh my gosh, what's going to happen then? And I think that our ego loves to tell us whatever story it's going to get us to hook into, whether it's, ooh, you're going to be really great at that. And you aren't ready for that yet. Or, whatever kind of, it'll be complimentary too. Right. As well as degrading. And so it's kind of finding the balance in that and seeing where the lie is a lie. And I think when we get that repetition, or the ego speaks last and it speaks loudest, and it speaks continually. The soul of Kyra, goes, the ego is, right? That's how I hear it. Awesome. And the soul of Kyra goes, huh? It's not like, I demand you be different, or you should be doing this, or there is the Holy Spirit in you, or whatever. It's like, no. So Kyra's like, I'm like, so Kyra, you are not helping the situation. So, it's so interesting to observe our thoughts and understandings about how things work and how our mind works. Because I think when we take this journey towards self-discovery, especially if we've come to that state, we've come to that place of burnout, and things like that, if you're in that place and I know for me, if I've been avoiding it because I recognize, hey, there is a burnout, I'm in a burnout situation, I know there's something wrong. Sometimes the universe has got to take that thing away from me. It's, I'm a dog with a bone. Like, I have to have the universe take that bone away from me, or I'm going to gnaw on it till it's nothing. I want my bone. I'm a failure.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You needed me to take that bone away from you because you were hurting yourself and you're beating yourself over the head with it.
Yeah, but the burden would perceive that as additional failure. It's literally like two lenses. And when that thing is it's interesting because the moment that realization hit, and like you realize that when things are being ripped away, you can see the bigger picture. I was far too small, and you could see the bigger picture of what was going on. And when things were ripped away like that, the next realization that came in with some immediacy just weeks after was that and you and I talked about this in terms of it being an entrepreneur, is there were certain things that I was doing in my life that the burden would have recognized as failure. But when I had put that lie down, then I had realized that this is my nature. Like, this is who I am, and this is how I operate. And there was a small little, I kind of like me. Like that's not
small, that small little voice, right? It's not as loud as the ego. It's just like, you know what? I'm okay.
Yeah. Like, that's just who I am. Ooh, that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah. It's all very interesting. I think it's just a realization of the lies, and they come from so many places, and there's too many rabbit holes, I think, to go down. But slowing down is the first step, and sometimes the hardest step.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is the hardest step, because we are high achievers. We and I heard that term and I was like, I'm not that. And it's like, oh yes, you are. Yes, you are that. You are definitely a high performer, high achiever. And it's like, yeah, but I like to take naps. I take naps. And it's like, no, you also work until midnight, So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know, I just work 16 hours a day, and, I make time for my family, and I have I'm able to go on vacation, or, believe me, if you've got some level of burnout going on right now, you might be one of those high performing kind of personalities where it's like, get it done, do it quickly, do it perfectly, never let them see you sweat, kind of thing. And I think I definitely did that.
And those are the rules of the world that say, okay, so I'm a high performer, high achiever, entrepreneur, whatever that label that we want to call it is. Oh, so okay, yes, I'm that. So I need to act this way or do this. But the truth is that there's no one right way to be a high performer and high achiever. The right way is your way, and we can't define our own way or learn our own way if we're still listening to the lies. So
yes.
Yeah, it's just but the moment that it's total sheer chaos when you slow down, because in that moment you've got lies, you've got truth, and you don't know which way is up, and you're mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausted, and it sucks. So
tell me, what are some warning signs, like just before we get to a state of burnout, What are some warning signs that you've noticed either in yourself or your clients along the way?
It's a good question. Going off the cuff. So, not wanting to do things, and I say that hesitantly because work has actually become work, and it sucks, and you hate it, and it's a drag. And don't get me wrong, there's things that like you got to do your taxes, and you got to, those things are not fun, but they have to be done. But there is a absolute difference when people say, it's like I don't work a day in my life. I don't think I actually recognized that until I saw the lies, and it flipped things around. So an initial kind of distaste and losing things have really just become work. Like a lot of life has become work. What you once loved, you don't love so much anymore. And maybe you start going through the motions a little bit in life. I mean, hell, if you live through 2020, you're probably in burnout right now.
You might be in a state of burnout.
Right? Highly likely that if you are a human in the world have gone through 2020, you're likely in burnout right now to some degree, because it's a lot of things have just been broken, which is exciting in some way because now there's room for a lot of new things, but a lot of things have been broken and we're just kind of left with pieces right now as we go into 2021, which I think people magically thought was going to be better somehow, some way. But
I didn't. I was like, boy, midnight strike, son, this is all good. Everybody's healed. Woo! No. It didn't quite happen that way, but I'm open to it being even better than I could imagine. So, for me, I think some of my warning signs, because I call it making the donuts. I'm just making the donuts. It's that Dunkin' Donuts thing from the 80s or 90s where the guy's like, time to make the donuts. And he walks into the thing and he just makes the donuts. And it's just really monotonous and tedious. And when I know that I'm in too much stress, I've been in too much accuracy, which is very different from what we're doing right now. Like right now, I'm like energized, I'm pumped, I'm excited. We're talking perspectives, we're getting broad on things, we're getting tight on things, we're coming to terms with things, we're sharing information. Like this is my jam, right? I feel good in this space. And I'm with my best friend, and I just adore you. And so anytime I get to spend with you is magical. So this is my peak state. This is my this is love, right? And so when I have to go and do format a book in a minute, because my personality type says my 3-year-old is accuracy. So in that state, I'm like, I don't wanna, I need a piece of chocolate before I can even start this project, and some NFs find that to be true for them as well. But and that's Myers-Briggs terminology, INFJs, ENFJs. Maya's an INFP, and our men are INFJs. And so we can kind of all relate in this area because accuracy, it's like Maya trying to edit video, Kyra trying to format books, Todd counting beans in, doing copy editing, whatever it might be. So if we spend too much time in areas that don't fill us up, it becomes overwhelming. But I actually get this burning feeling right in my frontal lobe of my brain. And I'm like, time to take a nap.
I think that's a warning sign and symptom too. It's kind of like when you don't want to, when the things are like the drag, so to speak, it's kind of like, ooh, food. Ooh, the sunshine is out. Ooh, but when I'm excited to do something, I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to get lost in this. And it's wonderful. Let me share this with you. I'm working on a new project for burnout, and this may give people some insight. So burnout for me, I have always I have an acupuncturist, and acupuncture and Chinese herbs for me, I just love. My body loves them. And so I'm working on a project with her, which maybe we'll talk about later. She brain dumped this, and it made so much sense when it comes to burnout. This is from the perspective of Chinese medicine. She says, there is no timeline, and this is like a mantra. There's no timeline for my recovery. I will not force my body. This is what got me into this mess in the first place. This is based on the Taoist concept of Wu Wei, which is often translated as non-doing, non-forcing, guiding, but not pushing, allowing things to unfold on their own timeline. The theory of burnout is this. Capacity, meaning mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical ability to do things. The root problem is that demand has exceeded capacity. Demand has exceeded capacity. So the solution, increase capacity, decrease demand. Increase capacity through rest, exercise, when appropriate, mental training, gratitude, mindfulness, etc., and decrease demand, mental demand, emotional demand, and physical demand. So that gives us some insight in your question of some of the warning signs is where in our lives has the demand exceeded the capacity of which we have to give. I mean, sometimes, you and I talk about it in the concept of work, but it happens in relationships. It happens in marriages. It happens in not just relationships as marriages, but relationships at work in terms of your relationship with your employer and getting burned out at work. It happens, we're seeing a massive increase in medical burnout, people in the medical field, nurses and physicians and doctors. And I forget who it was, but I was watching a video the other day and it really nailed it home. He said specifically, he was a doctor in the medical industry and said that burnout isn't burnout. Burnout in the medical industry is moral injury. As in, like, I'm having to, that hit me too. As in, like, we are nurses, we are physicians, we are in the medical community because we are here to help people despite race, despite how much money I have, this patient has, but I'm working the system. And my medical, electronic medical record system is essentially just a big cashier machine, right? So there's so much bureaucracy that goes along with the medical field that burnout in the medical field is actually now just moral injury because I'm bucking up against a system that doesn't match my original morals. And so this kind of expands. If we're just talking symptoms, like, think bigger. Even if it's just not an entrepreneurial burnout, so to speak, it's happening a lot for a lot of different people right now in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's huge. That is so true. And that's like, it's my original intention, or I'm just kind of putting it in another way, specifically around authors. It's like, okay, I'm in this creative flow and everything's wonderful. And I wrote this book because I had this spark and I'm just so, I'm in love with this idea and I'm so excited about it. And I've written it all out. And then I want to share it. And then here comes the ego that goes, you have to do this. You have to show up this way. There's the finances. Here's the non-finances. Here's the bills. All this stuff just squashes that joy. And I think that's a lot of times what stops authors, because they might go immediately into that, a process of burnout, in that it's like, oh my gosh, I just spent all this time and energy in doing this. And now I'm getting bombarded with, the next steps, and those lies start to come in. So I just think that's so cool that you brought that. Mm-hmm.
Brought what?
Brought that out. Just like, there's a mismatch when we get from spark of creativity into the industry. And it's like, when we go from, just like what you were saying with the nurses and doctors, it's like we came into this to be help, and then we're butting up against this industry. And it's like, how can we ease this process and help people to feel more?
So this just came into mind as you were saying that, specifically if you're an author in the author industry, man, did I massively fail the first time around. And I'm being ultra strategic about it now because it feels so good to do it. I'm not saying that every author does this, but I see authors as some entrepreneurs too, because we're putting our word into the world. And one thing that massively contributed to burnout was having an unclear set of expectations and an undefined goal. So, for example, if I am going to write a book and I have this insight, this motivation, this inspiration, this divine download to write a book, then if that's what I have, is this divine download to write a book, then I am going to write a book and I'm going to get it to Kyra for publishing. And then I'm going to put it out into the world. And then that is my goal. My goal is to write the book and put it into the world. If your goal is to build a business around that book, which if the goal isn't defined, you're going to get screwed in the first place. But if it's to write a business around the book, then with the book is understanding who your core target audience is, how you're going to speak to them. But having a goal first, if you want to make money from your book, then go into that with, there's no shame in that whatsoever. You're going to write this book because you want to make money. Maybe you don't know how, but that's okay. There's pathways to be able to learn that. So I suppose what I'm saying to avoid certain burnout is if a book is in your mental space, have a clearly defined goal when you go into it. So that way expectations, there's no mismatch between those expectations. Same thing in the medical industry is like go into or start a place that is aligned with what you're wanting, but go in with a goal. And that way you're set up for success and not burnout. That way it's, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. Let's talk strategies and just explore some options for people. So the first one is quit.
I love that one.
Which I have done a couple times. I'm like, oh, I'm done. I'm reached my capacity because I didn't know what those warning signals were and how to handle things as they came up. So it was like, okay, I've reached my limit. I got to leave because I'm dying, and that was, I did that specifically, one with a particular job. That I was working for a bank, and I was working during the financial collapse, and I was talking to financial advisors all day, every day, and they were freaked out, and they don't have any coping skills because they're mainly STs or sensor thinkers, so they don't have a lot of the natural equipment NFs came, intuitive feelers came just like out of the womb with, right? And so they don't have those coping mechanisms. And so they're like suicidal and they're in a ton of fear and, all that kind of stuff. So that was one piece, just being in an environment that was not conducive. And then, owning my business where I'm everything to everyone. I'm the therapist. I'm the coach, I'm the group leader, I'm the speaker, I am the bill collector, I'm the, I wasn't the receptionist. We did hire a receptionist, thank God. And I'm the IRS accountant and the marketer and and it's like, oh my God, why didn't I hire 15 people to help me? And that came down to, I can do it all. I can handle everything. So anyway, in those two instances, I quit. So because I didn't know those warning signs. So the first thing for me that helped me tremendously in the process of just a strategy was I got this terminology in my vocabulary, which is I do not have capacity. Mm-hmm. I do not have capacity. Mm-hmm. And so if Todd came to me with something, I would go, honey, I don't have capacity. I can't help. And we as NFs, we have this just desire to be of help. And when we can't, we do feel like failures because we are good at this. We're good at helping. And so when we can't feel or live that purpose because we've got pulls in so many other directions, it feels really bad. So my number one first strategy to start out with healing burnout was I don't have capacity, and then basically walking away from a situation that is unhealthy in that moment. It's not like you walk away from the job or the work or whatever, but you're just saying, hey, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. Right. That slowing down and speaking your truth in that moment of I don't have capacity. It's huge and absolutely number one. I think that's you're just asking, but I'm only interjecting because I tried to skip that step twice and it didn't freaking work. I want to go straight to the, I love solutions. I love taking action. I love doing things, but doing things without that end goal or spinning your wheels or doing it from the same place of foundational lies is going to put you right back where you were in the first place. So I tried to skip that step, and I learned the third time that you can't. You gotta quit. You gotta say, and quitting, we don't mean it in like a literal sense, although it could be a literal sense. Quit the relationship, quit the job, but just quitting the doing. Right? That was
yes. Stopping the activity that's being hurtful. Mm-hmm.
Right. Stop moving in alignment with the lies, and then just slowing down and having the courage to say, I don't have the capacity.
Yeah. And letting the chips fall where they may, because somebody may be like, but yet you had capacity yesterday to help me with everything I've got going on in my life and being and soul. How come you don't have capacity today? And it's like, woo, girl, I need to get some boundaries. Oh my God, what are my boundaries? And so for me, to see some of the warning signs that I've had with publishing is, because we just learn, we grow, we develop. I was getting into a place of burnout. And so I wasn't feeling the joyful feeling. I wasn't connecting with my authors the way I wanted to. And I know they weren't feeling as much love as they had in the past from me. So what we did was Todd and I sat down and we said, okay, how do we want to structure this differently? So the first thing is I recognize there's a problem. Let's slow it down, like Maya's saying. Let's recognize what the lies are. Let's say we don't have capacity if we don't have capacity. And then my next thing was creating a system, and that was we're going to email only. I'm getting off of Facebook Messenger because I don't want to be on Facebook all day long. I recognize that my authors are on Facebook, and when I get out there and I respond to their posts and that kind of thing, I am so freaking happy about doing that. And so I don't feel like, oh, I've just been on Facebook all day. Instead, I have these designated times for Facebook. I have designated times for email. I have designated times for all that kind of stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to be that structured for you, but I just communicated it. And I'm like, I can be my best self for you if I have these things in place. So that's my kind of number 4 or 5 of restructuring your life and your actions. But you can't jump to that place before the slowing down, before the inventorying, so to speak. Yes.
I think in thinking about it with you right now and discussing it, I even skipped the restructuring the first time around. I was like, nope, just going to go right back to what I was doing because I'm better now.
That's fine. I'm rested. I'm fine. We're good. Let's just go back to whatever we were doing before. Yeah.
Sign me up for the marathon next week.
Oh, do I get eaten by a bear now? Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, it's you're right. The kind of steps, the logical, orderly steps, which there are, is yes, understanding the warning signs. And I just pulled it up in psychology today, but educate yourself. First of all, just educate yourself. Like, what are those warning signs and symptoms? And I think that our world can pull together a set of unified symptoms, but know that there's a lot of quizzes out there and everyone's a little bit different, but learn yourself, know your own symptoms, and be on the lookout for those. And then slow down when you see them. And then after the slow down, whatever that looks like, I don't know if it's a day, a week, or 2 months in Hawaii by yourself. I don't know if that's possible, but
that would be amazing.
Right? Just like slow down and then start the inventorying, the assessments, and then the small actions of the restructuring and the boundary setting, etc. And it's so delicate. It's such a delicate, like you've got to tread lightly. When you begin the doing again, you have to tread lightly because it's automatic, it's easy, it's effortless. It's brushing your teeth, tying your shoes, riding a bike, driving a car. It's so easy and habitual that you're going to want to take action in the same way you've always taken action before. And you're going to have to say like, I forgot. It's okay. Nope. We're doing it this way. Oh, I forgot. We're doing it this way. So it's just a constant little redirect. But if we go too quickly, you're going to end up going back to habit. Eventually, the new way of doing that produces that is in alignment with your heart's desires, so to speak, a non-way of burnout life. Those will eventually become habit with enough practice. But there's a lot of potholes along the way. Yeah. So that's why I think a group is really important too. Just reaching out to people, asking for help along the way. That was certainly something that I never used to do because I saw that as weakness or the burden that I carried with me. And the lie said it was, you're smart enough. You should be able to do this.
You'll be fine. Yeah. You don't have to partner with anybody around this. You don't have to. Because the ego knows that when we come together, it can't hold up a charade. It can't hold up the illusion any longer because I'm going to tell you you're fucking awesome. And everybody else.
Right.
Get out of the way. Watch out. Maya's amazing. And all those lies will disintegrate because my love for you is stronger than those lies. And your love for me is stronger than those lies. And when we partner with somebody who truly has our highest and best good in mind, it just dismantles all of those belief systems that tell us we aren't, we can't, we shouldn't, we didn't, we're not good enough, we're not enough. And I know, Todd was working with a client recently, and we've seen it ourselves personally, is that when you connect with someone in that heart space, the moment they're having that feeling or belief around, I'm not enough, I'm not working fast enough, I'm not working hard enough, the moment that it's matched with the energy of love is the moment that it just puts a splinter into that old belief or idea. And it starts to, maybe it doesn't go away all at once, and maybe we have to get reminded and that kind of thing, but it splinters it and starts to dismantle the old belief system because it's not true. There's no way at any point in time in our lives we've ever not been enough. We've always been enough. We've been miraculous. We're miraculous, my. We are miraculous. That's of light.
Why we were given the gift of burnout.
Yes. Mic drop. What? Burnout's a gift.
The gifts of burnout.
Yeah. So, all right. I think we have it all figured out. Oh, well, I will say this when it comes to like a group thing, is that I was very resistant to any kind of group situation whatsoever because I'm like, no, I got this. But also too, I don't want anyone to know any of this stuff that's in here. But I started going to a group right when I started burnout years ago. I don't know, 5-6 years ago with our hypnosis clinic. And it might have been longer, but so I walk into this group of people and I feel so much love there, so much connection, so much truth, so much grace. And it's kind of one of those feelings where you don't know how bad you feel until you feel good. But it's almost like I didn't know how bad I felt until I was in a room full of people who are loving. And I walk in, I sit down in the chair. Todd had already been going to this group for a while, and it's just sharing. You just share and you get met with kindness, whatever painful experience you might be experiencing, and there's no judgment. And so I sit down in the chair and just tears start rolling down my cheeks, like big fat tears, because I could feel my pain. I could feel my pain. I had been so much in the activity of getting things done that I couldn't actually feel myself. I pulled all of my energy up into my brain, and I was like, nothing below my chin exists.
You were
know?
just dead.
Yeah, it was, I'm just a floating head. That's it. I'm just in my thoughts and I cannot get out. And so what it caused me to do was pull all this activity and energy down into my body. And I was like, oh, I have physical pain. Oh, I have chronic fatigue. Oh, my kidneys feel things. Oh, you know, I have like aching, my adrenals. I mean, like I could feel my heart palpitating. I was like, oh my gosh, this is real, guys. And I was like, I'm dying. I think I'm dying. And the truth is no, in that moment, I started an activation in myself, in my body that said, no, baby, you want to live. And you belong to this whole organism here. It's not just here that's just generating energy from your mouth to your brain. You know? It's
round and round.
Whole organism. And there's so much more energy using our whole body. And that to me helped me on the process. So if you're listening and you're like, I don't know if I'm in burnout, well, are you up here? Can you feel your heart? Can you feel your feet? Are you in a active disease process? You know, what's going on in your body and how are you feeling? And I think to me, that was a good indicator as well of where am I? Am I in a state of burnout? How is my body doing? How's my body feeling? How's my heart feeling? How's my heart today? Like
Right. Perfect loop. It is getting into your body is really important. I mean, because your body's home to your heart. It's that's definitely it's easy to just go around, be a walking head, and that's it. Just a bundle of thoughts disconnected from the chemicals that are produced by the emotions those thoughts are producing. It's an interesting place. You know, I think just recognizing if I had one last thing to say about it, I suppose, is that it's kind of like recognize there's nothing wrong with you, and burnout is a real thing. You know, I think they even recognize the ICD-11 medical terms. They recognize it's not a medical term, excuse me, it's an occupational term but they're actually recognizing it as something that's real in the world. You know, it only took a global pandemic to do that, but but it's not you. It's not that you're not strong enough or you're not good enough for any of those things. It's a real form of exhaustion as produced by a long-term set of stress responses that your body can't handle. And your body's screaming at you, which, you know, just pushes us into our head. Like, don't listen to it. Just don't listen to it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So then it just keeps us like the lies and the mind and the ego just keeps us up here so we don't deal with the stuff down here, which is actually truth. So yeah, it's real, it's fixable, and it's a gift, not a curse. There's real steps to it. And it just requires a little bit of our attention. Yeah.
Cool. I feel like we've done what we came here to do for today. But I thought about this last night. I was like, I wonder what experience Maya's had with me that she would consider to be her favorite. Do you have a favorite moment with me? I have my favorite moment with you. I have many favorite moments. Mine is more of like a conglomerate of favoriteness. But because I'm egotistical and selfish, I would like to know what your feelings are. Anything stand out to you about what you like about our time together?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. It's nothing weird. It's
No, I should say it. Okay, how do I say it? Yeah. Well, it's the first thing that comes to mind. I don't know if it's my favorite. It's the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, I know what it does. When you and I get to hang out, it's usually when we're like, it's in the sun. Sometimes, we're at the pool. Or, it's in the sun. It's always in the sun, and we're just it's a relaxation. And then there's it's like we have our fuck it moments together. And it sounds weird. I don't mean it like that. It's when we're just like, we're both like, fuck this. I'm quitting that. I'm quitting that. I'm quitting in the purpose of our conversation. We get to the place, things that are leading to burnout, we recognize together, and there's awareness around it. And I equate quitting in my mind with my best friend to like, just, I'm turning up the fuck it meter. I'm like,
right. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
And it's only the things that my ego and the lies had me convinced that were so important in my life to overcome and to prove and to be something and to be special and all of this other lie not based nonsense. And I think my favorite moments are us sitting in the sun, having those just fuck it moments of like, I'm gonna quit this, I'm gonna quit that. But there's like it's a togetherness, and it's just like this moment of letting go. I always let go with you a lot. I think that's what you do for people in a really good way. Is there's heart-based guidance and a lot of just like, oh, I don't have to do that. It's awesome. Okay, you're not gonna do it either. Awesome.
Sweet. We won't do it together. That is so true. I sometimes I forget. I laugh with you more than I have ever laughed with anybody ever. You are one of the most accepting, loving, heart-centered people in the world. And there's been lots of these moments. There was a couple in particular, but one, I was laying on the couch because when Maya comes over, we eat, we relax, we, do whatever we're going to do. We might do the pool thing. We might do whatever. And we could just be whatever. And if I feel safe with a person, I will fall asleep with them in the room because I feel safe with them. But Maya and Todd will make dinner. We have a small apartment. Maya and Todd will make dinner. And I will kind of be drifting in and out of this like bliss, peaceful state because Maya's already filled my belly with something delicious. And, but they're still making dinner. Like there's always enough food. There's more than enough food when Maya comes over. And so they're cooking and talking and relating and laughing and chopping and doing all these things. And I am just listening to them. And I mean, I just feel so peaceful, so at ease, so loved, so nurtured. It is just being in your presence, Maya, is like one of the gifts of my life that you may not even realize, but I try to tell you.
Leave it up to a couple of NFs, intuitive feelers. So like, it's just all about the feeling. That's all it is. It's just about the feeling. Nothing else.
Yeah, that's right. We don't even think.
Nope. That's how all decisions are made.
That's it. All of our decisions. We get to each other. That if we can get to each other, however that meandering path has to be, but drive 3 hours to North Tucson to go see Maya. It is really. But yeah, once we get there, there is no thinking. It is all love. But awesome. Maya, thank you for being with me today. And I know you've probably got a wild schedule, but is there anything you would like to help people know about how to get in touch with Nuaria or you, or if they want to learn more about Nuaria?
Well, I think this would be a good time. You guys can go to, we didn't really talk about it. It's fine. Nuaria.com is it's the link around someplace. I'm sure that you can find it.
I'll put it out there.
Essentially at Nuaria, we help people lose weight without a diet, and it's for chronic and yo-yo dieters. people who have just been on a roller coaster when the real problem is not the doing, the real problem is the thinking, predominantly the all or nothing type thinking. You're all in, you're all out. So we've been around since 2012 and are in many larger organizations, trusted by a lot of people. So there's a lot of great reviews and all this other stuff. So that's what New Aria does. This is literally the first time I'm talking about it. And Kyra, I don't think you know like this much about it. And I literally this morning have come to this conclusion, understanding. So I'm probably not going to say it right at first. But we are looking for, so I'm pairing up with my acupuncturist actually. And we are creating some herbal formulas to help with burnout, because in that initial phase is when I need that, like when I'm just, I mean, frankly, I've lost my shit and I need and my body needs help. Right. And it's not like, it's only to aid. It's not in the process of like, there's no pill in the world. I mean, having been in the weight loss industry for as long as I have, there's no magic pills, but there is help. And so the herbal formulas that have helped me for years, I'm pairing up with her to bring them to other people in burnout. And so it's super, super early in the first iterations. And I'm actually need a group of people that are in burnout, like currently right now you're in burnout. And there's going to be a certain set of criteria to be in this beta group, because I'm going to give you some free product and I need you to try it out and test it and give me feedback and all of those things. So I am actually looking for a group of people that are currently in burnout that will help me start developing this product and give me feedback. So I don't know what size that group is. We're probably going to go into a Facebook group and meet on there, but and there'll be certain criteria that I'll lay out. But basically, I'm looking for people in burnout that want some help in this area.
Cool. I will definitely keep my eye out. And guys, if you're watching, let's get in touch with Maya. If you're in a burnout state, she wants to help. So, woo! All right, guys, thank you so much, Maya, for being your beautiful, amazing self. And all you guys listening, thank you for tuning in. And, hey, subscribe to YouTube. Like this video, stuff like that. All right, I'll talk to you all later. Take care.